since I've done a live one here, but even though I'm tired, I can't get to sleep, so I was like, hey, might as well try to do a live because this is something on my mind, so I wanted to talk about it. So I feel like, generally speaking, I have made it pretty clear that I tend to be by myself. I don't socialize too much, and generally speaking, it's not by choice. But for the past few days, I actually have been socializing, which has been interesting. And in socializing a little bit, I learned more about myself yet again, and I just wanted to talk about it. So, essentially, I ended up, except for one day, I ended up hanging out with people who I have known for a very long time, for over 10 years. And while I was hanging out with them, well, one person in particular, what I realized was that being by myself was actually, it was actually preferable, I think. Because what I found was when I was hanging out with people from my past. Now, I don't say this with any ill will towards them. I really don't. But when I was hanging out with them, I found that I was falling into very familiar patterns, old patterns, ones that actually I think I was better off not being in. And it made me realize that all this time that I spent by myself, feeling like, it wasn't necessarily a choice and everything, all of this time that I spent being, I guess, annoyed or frustrated that I wasn't able to make more friends or be more social or whatever else, it made me realize that actually I think I prefer this solitude, because it was like as soon as I started hanging out with people from my past, not only, one of the old patterns that I fell into was talking about myself and the issues that I'm having and the things that are on my mind. And honestly, these were things that I always kind of felt like people didn't really care about, didn't really want to hear about. But because I was with people that I always talked to these things about, it just felt natural to start doing that again. And in retrospect, I don't like that. I personally think I prefer when I am by myself, right? I'm in solitude, and I end up keeping my thoughts, my feelings more private, and issues that I end up having, I solve them by myself. And even though I do think that there is a lot of there's a lot of benefits that you can get from talking to other people, getting other opinions and stuff like that. I definitely think that that is the case, but I've talked about it before, and I really do think that being able to think for yourself, have your own opinions, all of that is really important and really good, and it helps you learn to trust yourself. Not only do you learn to trust yourself, but when it's your problems and things that you want to think or talk about, when you're sharing it with yourself, you don't have to worry. Well, I mean, unless it's something that you really don't want to be thinking about. But if it is something that you want to deal with, it's something that you can talk about with yourself for as long as you need. You can be your own safe place. You don't have to worry if you're annoying someone, if they're going to use it against you in any sort of way. You don't have to worry about your feelings impact on another person, because there isn't another person to impact. You're sharing these private, personal, whatever thoughts with yourself. You're trusting yourself enough to trust your, like, whatever it is that you come up with as a solution. And it really is just a very nice and freeing thing, I personally think. And another thing, when I talk about falling into old patterns, I noticed that with one particular person, being around them really didn't make me feel good. I felt kind of drained. I felt kind of down after talking to this person. I found the conversation to be unnecessarily pessimistic and negative. And I know that in the past, these were the conversations that I used to have very commonly with this person. Not that we talked that often, but when we did, we tended to talk that way. And while I know that not all of the things that I talk about are necessarily the most positive, this, I feel like, is kind of a very specific brand of negativity and pessimism that I have been really moving away from and trying to ignore. And so to have it brought back to me like that really didn't feel very good. And in that moment, the distance between me and this person, and them prioritizing other things and people before me all the time, really didn't bother me anymore. And it made me value my solitude even more as well. Like I said in the title of this video, solitude is eye-opening. And even though technically I was with other people and being with them opened my eyes, as I've said, by being by myself, I have learned so many things and gotten so used to it and had certain mindsets that being around other people, especially ones from my past that sort of, or I guess not even sort of, that they impacted me being in solitude so often. Being around them made me value my solitude even more and really understand and appreciate even more that being by yourself, having distance from people, especially specific people, really isn't such a bad thing. Me not talking to this particular person very often after seeing them, I kind of feel like it's a good thing. Now, I don't think at all that this person is a bad person. I still like them. I still consider them a friend, but I do feel now that the distance between us is for the best. And as far as the other friend, I kind of feel guilty because the things that I was talking about with this friend, I felt again like I was burdening them. And these were things that I feel like I wasn't necessarily talking about anymore, or at least not in the same capacity. But as soon as I was with this person again, I fell back into old patterns. I did the same thing, and it was again something that I feel like I was moving away from. So I feel kind of bad that I probably bothered her with that. Um, but again, this isn't something that I was dealing with when I was by myself. And I will say too, interestingly enough, in my opinion, that I realized that, see, one thing that I always thought was a little odd about myself. So I've taken different personality tests, and they've always said that I'm very, very, very much on the introverted side. And I've talked about on here why I feel like the main reason why I'm introverted is just I don't like people very much. But one thing that I learned in the past few days from socializing is, see, now I also thought at certain points that really I'm an ambivert, so a mixture of an extrovert and an introvert. Because a lot of times, like, I've read different posts about introverts and how they feel about things, and while I can relate to certain things, there are other things I really can't relate too much to. And I don't necessarily have the best opinion of introverts, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I don't completely resonate with the title. I never really have. It never really felt that comfortable. I knew what an ambivert was. I kind of thought that I was, but because of how much I didn't really like people, I thought, and especially again, because every time I took a personality test, it was so much in the introvert position. I figured, okay, well, I'm really just introverted. But what I realized as well is that, okay, another thing about me, I felt like I'm socially awkward, right? But I think the truth is, I'm not socially awkward as long as the person or people that I'm talking to make me feel like they actually care or are interested in me, that type of thing. Then I feel like the conversation with me and this other person flows very naturally. I don't think that I'm very awkward or anxious at all, but I just need to feel like, I don't know, like I'm not just there just to be there, that I'm not a burden, that I'm not an annoyance, that they're wishing that I would go away or something like that, that they actually appreciate my presence. And once I feel like my presence is appreciated, is welcome, is wanted, then I feel like I flourish. And I really don't mind, like, I know this might sound like a contradiction to other things that I've said, but I'm the type of person, I don't necessarily mind if someone just comes up and wants to start talking to me or whatever. It doesn't bother me the way that it seems like it bothers a lot of introverts. I'm actually flattered a lot of times if someone comes up and wants to talk to me. And I'm a lot more open to wanting to make friends or whatever. Now, I do prefer close friendships rather than a bunch of, I don't know, more so acquaintances. But, I'm just open to, I guess, at least potential friendship, seeing where it goes. It doesn't necessarily have to be a friendship, but just seeing and having like some mutual and reciprocated effort, you know? So, with that being said, as much as I value my solitude, I am glad that for the past few days I actually did go out and socialize, because another thing that I was struggling with was if I am by myself and I enjoy being by myself and I tend to have this negative interaction with people, then is there a point in even, because I read this post one day and I thought it was very interesting. It was talking about how you go through different phases. And I really think that that applies to me, because I will have my phases where I actually do feel like being social, but then I'll have other phases where I don't. And I think right now I'm in this kind of weird in between where I sort of do feel like being social, but I kind of don't. I've been hesitant. But again, that realization that I came to about feeling welcome made me feel like I probably can try to be social. But so here's the interesting thing, right? I feel like in order for me to feel like I'm wanted, appreciated, etc., I would kind of have to go to an event where the purpose is to make friends, because then I would feel like, okay, well, and again, it doesn't, just because you're going into something with the intentions of making friends, it doesn't mean that you're going to make friends with every person there. But to me, there's a certain comfort in the fact that at least the goal of everyone there is to make friends. Therefore, it's something that they're open to. But when you just meet people randomly, you don't know whether or not they're actually open to making friends or not. A lot of people have already, made the friends that they want to make. They don't necessarily want to make new ones, and therefore they may not put a lot of effort into it, which I have experienced recently. I am irritated with the way that that person decided to go about things, but this isn't about talking about that person. The point is, I kind of feel like, again, I should go to events where people have the intent of wanting to make friends. But I also think that's not good, because when you go into it like that, there's a lot of pressure to make friendships work out. So I don't really know if I should be trying. I mean, I guess it wouldn't necessarily hurt to just go and try things, and if I make friends with people, cool. If not, cool. But again, if the point isn't to make friends, I don't know if people will be open to it, whatever. Regardless, I think that another thing that solitude has taught me is that even if I do ultimately decide to not to go out, it's okay, because being in my own company it's a special type of comfort I've found that I really, really appreciate. I really do. And I didn't realize how much I appreciated it until I started hanging out with people from my past who brought out the past me rather than the current me, and how I didn't really enjoy that. Because, I was proud of current me for, the person that I just referred to, who wasn't really reciprocating my energy, and I was hoping we'd be friends, but it obviously just didn't work out. It is what it is, I suppose. Again, I don't want to go into it. But the person that I am now was able to just sort of deal with that a lot quicker and easier than past me would have. Current me is more in tune with her intuition and is more open to trusting herself and that intuition like she didn't like to do in the past. And so again, I am very happy about my time alone and the tools that I feel like I gained in my solitude. The benefit of, again, trusting myself, making better decisions, coming more, becoming more at peace, feeling like I can make better decisions, having a better sense of the type of person I want to be and the direction I want to go in with my personality and the types of people that I would be willing to and or want to let into my life at later dates. I really feel like it's the solitude that I've gone through that has allowed me to feel okay and good and more confident in that. And so I definitely do recommend it to people. I have been already, and it's something that I continue to support because I feel like it could probably help a lot of other people the way that it's helped me as well. And I just wanted to put that out there. I guess I'm glad again that and again, this isn't any ill will to these people. I still like them, but I am glad actually that we don't talk as often as I always wanted to, because it gives myself space. It keeps me from falling back into the person that I once was. It allows me to better see my growth, and it gives me an opportunity to continue to grow with myself without having to worry about other people, their input, their feelings, anything like that. And it's not to say that all of that stuff isn't good, that it can't be helpful, but I am very much, again, thankful for me being able to do that for myself. And I do think there is a certain amount of power there. So I wanted to express that. And if anyone listens to this and maybe they were on the fence about it or whatever, hopefully listening to this has given you some sort of clarity. And I think that's about it for today. I'm going to end this and try to get to sleep again. But again, if anyone listened to this, I hope it was helpful, and perhaps I'll catch you in the next one.